Come down. Ooh, you make my high come down. Always tripping when you come around. Never have to cut you out like right now. You see, I don't have to drive me. You can say that for your mama. Maybe you should smoke some. Me try the marijuana. I was never you good. The vibe was straight. Showed you a couple of things and they feelings changed. I treated you right. Everything was a gift from a time to your bag and the color on your lip.
Welcome to Seahawks Man to Man podcast powered by Blue Wire. Shout out to the new company. My name is Michael Sean Dugard. You guys know you can follow me on whatever Elon Musk is calling that app these days. My at name has not changed. At Mike Dugard, MikeDugar. It's also under my chin for those watching us on our YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Even if you are only someone who consumes via audio, just hitting that button means a lot to us. Thank you in advance for that support. Same thing on Instagram, same thing on TikTok, all that. Like, share, all the buttons that support us, just press them. Means a lot. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Chris, go ahead, talk to him.
What is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Christopher Kidd. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at CKIDD206, and that's CKid206.
All right, this is our what feels like highly anticipated post-draft show. The Seahawks have their 2025 draft class. Very fun weekend. Some wheeling and dealing in there. They had a lot of picks, a lot of directions they could have gone with a bunch of their picks. So that's it was fun. Good fun weekend. Chris pulled up wearing a bunch of gold on the third day of the draft. That's good. Good to see him there. Let's see.
More gold than me, probably. Now I think about it.
I have 3 gold chains.
Check.
And a gold piece that you guys see. You guys see any pictures with me or like right now on YouTube? This gold piece. My uncle's ashes are in there, so this just came with his urn. So that's it. Meanwhile, you came looking like a '90s rapper.
Man, I got
a guy from Raising Canaan.
I got the gold bracelet. Shout out to my fake nose ring, that's gold, and my nice little gold watch. So we're 3-3 if the math comes out correct. So he's just as gold.
No, but then you had something else gold. Oh, your frames. You had Ray-Bans. You had gold Ray-Bans.
I'm blind. I need those to see. You know what?
You don't need Ray-Bans to see. You don't need gold ones for sure.
Well, when you have insurance, those Ray-Bans are like $60. So I didn't even know they were Ray-Bans until I got home and looked at it, and I was like, oh, the lady didn't tell me that. So you know what, Mike? I just thought they're really nice glasses. And I said, hey, ma'am, do you think they match the face? And she was like, you look very handsome. I said, let's get them. And they're how much? $60. Sign me up. Shout out to the insurance. Takes care of everything. When you're blind, by the way.
Making people have to pay to see is nuts. That's a very American struggle. Anyway, we have to dive into that. It is nuts. Like you can't see without insurance though. Like, well, I need to see. Like everyone should have the right to see. Bro. Like it benefits everybody if everybody can see good. You know what I mean? Anyway, the Seahawks took 11 guys. Let's just run through. So this is the full list. At pick 18, they took guard Gray Zabel from North Dakota State. At pick 35, this was after a trade up. They took defensive back Nick Emanwari from South Carolina. Pick 50, tight end Elijah Arroyo from Miami. Pick 92, this is in the 3rd round. I should have said the rounds for the other ones. Doesn't matter now. Quarterback Jalen Milroe from Alabama. Pick 142, Riley Mills, defensive tackle from Notre Dame. Pick 166, wide receiver Torrey Horton from Colorado State. Shout out to the homie Steve and his Rams. Pick 175, fullback Robbie Oots, got his name right, from Alabama. Pick 192, guard Bryce Cabledew from Kansas. It was good, Chris. I don't even have their schools written down. It's all from memory. Shout out to me. 7th round, running back Damian Martinez from Miami. 7th round, pick 234. Tackle. This was announced on draft night, but tackle Mason Richmond from Iowa. And then pick 238, wide receiver Ricky White III, nicknamed Slick Rick, apparently by one of his teammates. He is from UNLV. Yeah, it was a good little nugget there. Ricky White the third is already a cool name. Then I look in the Beast and is like, oh, your nickname was Slick Rick. And he's super skinny too. He's like 6'1", 181. Like he's a little guy meaning thin. Obviously he's not like short, but anyway, that was kind of cool. So those are the 11 picks. They started out with 10. They had the extra haul because of comp picks, and because of the DK and Geno Smith trades. They lost some picks, I think, in the Leonard deal and the Ernest Jones deal, but then recouped all those. Yada yada yada. It doesn't matter. They had 10, made some trades, came out with 11. Chris, that is the class. Go. What you got for the people? What you think?
Man, it was exciting. I really thought, from my viewpoint and reading everything and having conversations with Mike, that prior to the draft, that they really focused on best available. Now, obviously, I'm not in the war room and I don't have this down as a fact. I'm obvious, clearly that's the case, right? But just looking at how the draft went, looking at all these different draft boards, top 100 players, from Danny Kelly of the Ringer to our guy Dane Brugler at the Athletic, you can see that the Seahawks really had a game plan of, okay, yeah, this guy is on our board at 50. We're going for him, and one of these guys top 100, whether it be Dane Brugler or Danny Kelly, he's maybe ranked 37 or something. So it's in that range. Okay, I can see the vision. They're really taking who they think is the best available at that spot, and they're not trying to go out and get a guy for a need. Now, surprisingly, maybe every pick that they had filled some type of need, whether it be the guard, right? That is potential to be what some people will call a Pro Bowler in the future. Okay, that's great to hear. That's a start, because they do need someone on that offensive line that's consistent outside of Charles Cross, who has been the staple at left tackle since the beginning, since he got to Seattle. Unfortunately for the Abe Lucas, the knee injury really put him as a setback. So now you're looking for another consistent player in that guard. It could be number 18 overall, Gray Zabel. I love the trade up. They got aggressive, went after Nick Emanwori, South Carolina safety. That room is, when you think about it, Love's deal is up in 2027. And it's probably a deal that they could probably get out of if things, let's say, go sour. So I like that move just because he's young, and the ceiling seems like this dude could be a problem. Like, he might be one of them dudes. And to get him at 35, that's kind of a good thumbs up for me. So when you look at this totality of the class, I think they just really took what they saw as, this is the best fit for what we want to do, and we're going after our guys. A bunch of dudes that Mike McDonald has probably seen tape of and really wants to go after it, and John Schneider saw the same vision, and they were able to come out with, I think, a decent class. But none of this matters until they get on the field, right? Because I'm sure I can go back and listen to our podcast from last year. Oh, Christian Haynes, everyone talked about and raved about how he could have went to any other school and stayed at UConn, which was an awful team, and he's just out there manhandling players. And he had a okay season, but it wasn't consistent enough. And this is why the Seahawks are now drafting a guard here again. So we say all these great things, and it looks amazing, but we won't know until training camp, until I see a practice, until I see a joint practice, and I'm seeing the offensive line dominate, or as Mike witnessed last year in Tennessee, be dominated. So right now it all sounds good in theory. I will say, well, I'll get to that later with some of our questions, but I like the receivers that they got, or I should say receiver that they got in Torrey Holton.
They got two. They got two.
You're right. They did get two. I'm bugging.
They got Ricky, Slick Rick.
I haven't seen any film on him, so I can't even.
I haven't either. It's okay.
But I did watch that Torrey Horton game, Colorado State versus Colorado, and if I'm not mistaken, he had like 10 catches for like $1 something, and a lot of them were on.
Broke a record in that game, 4 catches in school history. I think it was like 16.
Well, then it was way more than 10, and I would say over half of them were on the number 2 overall pick in the 2025 draft, and that would be Travis Hunter. So there is some upside and a lot to like about this kid. I think he is pencil him in to make the roster. Playing time's a different thing, because he can definitely be a part of special teams with his speed. But I think if there's one player that can make this team and have an impact, it might be Torrey Horton. But that's my overall thought on this class.
So first, let me double check what the Torrey had, because I remember watching that game too. I think this was Dion's first season there, I think. So every like Colorado game was like a big deal. Yeah, he had 16 catches for 133 and a touch. Yeah, he went nuts. He went crazy. So the first thing, did you peep if you guys, you notice in this class, they took 11 players, 9 of them were on offense. So the only 2 defensive players are Nick Emanwari and Riley Mills, the defensive tackle.
Yep.
So yeah, so then we got two guys. Mike, I thought, as soon as I see that, I was like, oh, well, that had to be intentional, right? Like the offense wasn't good. They fired Grubb. They overhauled that, got rid of their quarterback, got rid of their two of their best three receivers. Just didn't do anything in free agency. So I'm like, yes, this makes sense. They had to draft an offense. And Mike McDonald was like, I didn't notice till the end. And John Snyder was like, it wasn't intentional. The board felt that way. This does not matter, but Mike's BS meter is up. I am not on reg. I am not buying that. I think this was intent. Whether they put it this way, whether it was like we have to have more offensive players and defensive players, no. But I think it's one of those things you're like unconsciously aware of, like that you're doing it. Like I don't think it's a coincidence that so many of the best available players in their minds were on offense. I think that is. It's subconscious, not unconscious. Sorry. But you guys know what I mean. Like I don't buy that. And that's okay. I think that side of the ball, we can all agree, needed more work. The defense was a top 10 defense by the end of the year. Top 5 defense post bye week, I want to say. Had some hiccups there, the Vikings and Packers games. But by and large, that side of the ball was okay. It was good enough that no one's like, oh my God, the Seahawks defense in 2025 is going to be trash. You could definitely have that fear with the offense. So it's good that they went there. So that was the first thing. The second thing that stood out to me was how many guys, now that towards the end, we didn't get to this point, but Chris, how many guys visited the Seahawks? So that was very important to them. John Snyder has been very big on, he talks about this in free agency quite a bit, how he doesn't like how fast free agency goes because you basically got to throw money at guys right as soon as free agency hits, whether you visited them or not, whether you got the medical information or not. It's just, oh my God, it's the Monday of free agency. Here's $100 million. Hope you're good. He doesn't like that. He likes to take his time, have guys come in the building. For some reason, he really values how they treat like the valet people and stuff. Like, that's cool, I guess. I would not care too much about that. Can you play or not? I don't really need you to like have manners in some of these instances. Like, can you ball? Depending on the position, of course. Like if my nose tackle don't got no manners, don't care. Quarterback, okay, I care. But anyway, he really cares about that in the free agency process, cares about that in the draft process as well. And that's showing up. A lot of these guys visited, or if they didn't visit, they spent a lot of time with them prior to when the visits would happen. Like Gray Zabel, for instance, met with Steve Hutchinson in Mobile, met with the Seahawks at the Combine. A couple of these guys didn't fly in, but did a bunch of Zooms, and like half the class visited in person, whether they're coming from the other end of the country or not. So that speaks to what that's John backing up the part of the process that he said he's starting to value more and more and more is the person, trying to get to know the person. And obviously everyone can put on a face for a job interview, when they come visit, unless you're Shador, apparently. But all these guys, you can fake it for a few hours if you need to, but still you can tell that they value that part. I think that's pretty interesting and pretty noticeable. Obviously, a lot of these guys, I don't have all the numbers in front of me, but pretty much all of these guys, except for I want to say Mason Richmond, it's either Mason or Bryce, are good athletes. Like all of them, they got their relative athletic score or whatever, that they got their height, weight, speed, agility, strength, how high they can jump and everything. A lot of these guys are all 9 out of 10. I think Damian was a little lower because he didn't run super fast, but his 10-yard splits and everything weren't fast. But for the most part, a really athletic class. Reminds me, Chris, remember in the 2022 class, Pete was really big on that. He was like, we think we got the fastest dudes at all their spots. Abe's a good athlete. Charles is a fantastic athlete. Ken ran 4.3. Reek obviously could fly. Boye is an amazing athlete. Like really, I think Kobe's like a good athlete, but he didn't like test super well, which is why he was available in the 4th round as the Jim Thorpe winner. But like Derek Young, great athlete. Bo Melton, I think, was in that class. Anyway, I don't have to name the whole class. Get where I'm saying. That was clearly an emphasis there, and it showed up. So I'm looking at the big picture here. Those are kind of some trends that stand out to me. I probably wouldn't have drafted a fullback at all. I would have just kind of UDFA'd that, kind of like a kicker or a long snapper. But whatever. Only reason why, Chris, I would draft a fullback, this, he's got to have the aesthetic. He's got to look a certain way. Boy, this boy Robbie Oots looked just like a fullback, man. He got
What do
the
you say?
mustache.
What do you say on the call, Mike? I think someone asked, would you rather catch a touchdown or throw a block or something to that magnitude? Do you remember what he said, or the question was?
The question was, would you rather lead block for a touchdown or score it yourself? He's like, yeah, let me throw that block. I said, oh yeah. He wears. I was watching some Bama tape because they obviously drafted Jalen Milroe. I believe he wears 40. He wore 45 at Bama, fullback number. Great. He's got the mustache. I'm pretty sure he has a mullet. Great. Love that. His name is Robbie Oots. Definitely a fullback name. Like he checked a lot of boxes for me, and I can see why you draft that. That's like just my big picture look at the draft. There were some defensive players that I would have liked, and someone asked us about what players we would take. We'll answer that later in our question segment. But just big picture, those trends stood out to me for better or worse. I thought they were very notable, particularly the visit thing, because the visits can go either way. For instance, they have Malik McDowell visit that went south, right? Like the visit doesn't guarantee anything. I think Daryl Taylor visited too, and then like he couldn't play his whole rookie year because of injury. So that doesn't mean that the medicals check out either because he visited. But just by and large, I think that can help you find out about the person matching, particularly with Mike McDonald, because when we talk about BS meter, I feel like Chris, did you hear this quote from Mike McDonald? He got asked about what he learns from about guys on 30 visits. I think this was last Monday. And he was like, I don't want to overstate my ability to just size up a guy in an hour or so. Did you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, he seems very much the anti-John Snyder in that way. Like John seems to really value these visits. Like, oh my goodness, if you don't kiss up to Stu, our chef, we can't draft you. Whereas Mike McDonald's just like, I'm not looking for red flags. We're just hanging out, It's just a data point. It's not the data point. But anyway, I bring that up to say I think Mike McDonald is underselling his ability. I think it probably takes 3 seconds to figure out if you click with Mike McDonald. Like he just seems like one of them dudes is very simple, to the point, straightforward. After like a 5-minute conversation, he could probably figure out this is my type of guy, or he's not. So I think he can do that. Whether he thinks that or not, I feel very confident in that. Just as many times as I've dealt with him over the last year. Or so. So I'm glad he gets to visit these guys. So yeah, I like that. Oh, is this picture you got? Is this the guy? Is this Bright or is this Robbie?
There you go.
Oh, this is great. Oh, yeah, that's a freaking fullback, boy. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, Chris has a combine video, combine image up on the screen of Mr. Oots. That is good. I'm walking the bank. Hey, Mr. Oots, what's up, brother? Cash your check, Mr. Oots. Would you like some champagne with your deposit, Mr. Oots? Anyway, so all right, Chris. We don't have to go through every pick in detail, but I do think people probably want to hear us talk about Gray Zabel, first round pick, 18th overall. He was not probably. I can say confidently, I feel like he was like fan favorite guy. My editor had the great idea at the Athletic to ask for fans to submit their own mock drafts. And we would crunch the numbers in an Excel sheet. My editor's really good with all that stuff. And Gray was the number one guy people wanted in the first round. We got like 80 plus mocks. Now, obviously, there's more than 80 Seahawks fans in the world, but I just felt like that sample size was of the nerds that really care enough to send in the mock drafts. I feel like that was a high number. So for reference, they did it last year. My editor also edits our Steelers writers. They did that exercise and got like nearly 100. So like you guys are right there with the Steelers nerds, and that's a bigger market. So, and Gray was like by far and away not everyone's guy, but he was number one by a mile, in terms of people who wanted them mocked, which is very interesting, Chris, because how many of those 80 you got? Let's spitball. How many people you think knew who Gray Zabel was like Halloween or even
Zero.
Thanksgiving?
Zero. Maybe one person that reads all of your guys' work and is looking for a job, at that point. Shoot, hire me because he's serious about this. But probably 1 or 2 people. I mean, hell, I'm not going to sit there and act like I knew who he was. I did not. I didn't get wind of him till, after the Super Bowl?
Chris, if you get to the point where you're talking to me about left tackles from North Dakota State during the Seahawks season, I'm going to tell you to go outside and have fun and live your life. Yeah, it's not it. But I'm saying that to speak to how Gray has risen. So I didn't. So I watched a little bit of Gray after the draft, or excuse me, before the draft and after the draft. Um, he also, Chris, passes the aesthetic test. You got to picture him up on the screen right now. To look at the mustache, look at the cut. He's a farm boy. We talked about him. Shout out with Nick Baumgartner. Um, he was on with our last episode. So when I watched him, I saw a really athletic cat. I also saw a guy who I can understand why he's being moved from tackle. That's just that's probably not gonna work. I can also see why Nick, who knows the trench play better than Chris and I do, would want him at center. That's probably where I would want him as well. But I like his strength, like with his hands. I was a little worried, Chris. Like I think the first film I watched of him was the actual Senior Bowl, which is pretty rare. Usually you guys see like clips from practice at the Senior Bowl and the one-on-ones, which graded great in. And I've watched those too, but like the first thing I sat down and did was watch the Senior Bowl itself. And he played guard and center in that. And that worried me a little bit because he getting some players he getting tossed around a little bit. Like he definitely is seems like a light guy. But it's very like I can see why Mike McDonald is like he mirrors well in pass protection because his feet are great. Feet and hands work together real great. Just like you can see there's probably gonna be some instances where like, oh, okay, he got walked back into Sam Darnold or Jalen Milroe, whoever's playing quarterback at this point. Probably gonna be some instances of that. But I do like his attitude. I think we've talked about this before as well, Chris. I love when I'm watching the film and the play is over and the lineman is like 5 yards away from the play, shoving the DB just because, even though the whistle's blown, or like he's getting in a fight over there, or pushing the guy in the helmet, probably saying something that we can't say on the show. Like, I like that. Anthony Bradford is like that. Damian Lewis is like that, was whatever. Christian Haynes is like that. You know, he was mixing it up at the Senior Bowl as well. I do like that attitude. I do think Gray was worth the first round pick. I do think he should start right away. I think he's got the talent to do that. Like I said, I maybe would like him a little bit more at center, but either way, I am generally happy about the pick. I agree with John Snyder that guards are typically overdrafted and overpaid. But as we've talked about ad nauseum on the show, that don't matter if you put bums on the field. So I think they avoided that. I think they're going to put a good starting caliber guard on the field who's good for the scheme, can move, got really strong hands. So he's going to get his hands on D linemen first. I think he'll be able to move them. Pass pro, I think he'll be able to handle good athletes like quick linemen, like Leo, like quick guys like that. I think he'll be able to handle. I can see him having some struggles with like the bull rush, like really strong DTs, particularly early. So we'll see how that goes. Like Byron Murphy, I can see him having problems in practice with like Murph. Because just the power. Whereas a quick guy, he may be able to handle because he's quick too. But for John Snyder to finally just listen to the world and take a guard in the first round, Chris, I can get down with that. I can.
I think a lot of the listeners and fans of the Seahawks are feeling exactly what you expressed, that they actually like the attempt to go out and get a guard, although he has mentioned that quote that has been living for all the wrong reasons, because
In
obviously they haven't.
infamy, living in infamy.
Exactly. They haven't done a good job. John hasn't done a good job of acquiring the right guys on the offensive line and trying to go about it the cheap way. Because if all things work out, this is a guy that you're going to give a 5-year deal to, and you're going to pay him whatever amount of money you can to keep him, because he is a Pro Bowl, all pro type player. And you mentioned some of his weaknesses, and you say he's kind of light. You know, one thing that stood out to me is the arm length, right? And you mentioned speed rushers. You know, Bosa, a guy that you're going to see twice a year, he can do speed and strength. Like, what's that going to be like when you line up against that guy and he's able to use his speed and quickness against a guy that doesn't have the long arms to really attach and get his hands on you, because you don't have you don't have the arm length, and that's tough to do. But I think it's gonna be a work in progress. He's gonna learn. He's a quick learner, I'd imagine, and that's why it took him 18 to go out there, be a starter, and protect the quarterback, and be a physical guy in the zone run scheme that they plan on running. So I'm with you. I thought it was a good pick. There is some concern, but we're not gonna worry about that right now. Right now, we're looking at the thing as it is right now. John did something that I didn't foresee him doing, which is taking an offensive lineman 18 overall. I honestly thought he was going to get a receiver. I thought I was gonna go with your Texas boy, but that didn't happen. He didn't do that.
Matthew Golden. I like him.
Matthew,
I like
exactly.
You got to
So,
specify because the other Texas guy, he's wilding. The other guy, he got some legal issues. So yeah, Matthew,
yes,
you gotta say that.
Isaiah,
You gotta say his
Isaiah
name.
Bond.
Yeah,
Mr.
nah,
Bond.
yeah. That is not my boy.
No, it is not. So yes, I do need to specify exactly who I'm referring to. But yeah, I thought it was a solid pick. Thumbs up. I know Mike doesn't give grades out here, but I'm willing to bet Mike gave him a little A there on that one.
I give a grade. I'll step out on the ledge here. I thought this was a B. This was a B. I thought they got a good player. I don't know about like it be like all pro guard or something like that. I do think though that that's also why I was okay with like him taking just the best guard he could. Because honestly, if you just get a starting caliber guy, that's a win. Like if you just plug the hole, that's it. That's because that's what the baseline is on that side of the ball with that group. Just plug the hole, bro. Like I don't need you to give me because that's what all Will Fries was gonna be. Will Fries probably not like an all pro guard. He's just a starting guard. But the Seahawks don't have that. So you just get that. I think you're in good shape.
The problem.
Yeah, I don't if Gray's just as good as let me give you a good example. If he is the guard equivalent to KJ Wright, I think that's fine. KJ, I think he made one Pro Bowl, I think in 2016. But he was just a steady, good, starting caliber inside linebacker for a long time. Like if you and that's cool. Like if you just get that, I think that is fine. I think that is fine because of the baseline is lower. And if they took a DB this high, I probably I'd have higher expectations. But just because of where the guard spot has been for the last like decade or so, I'm okay that we have a different set of expectations. Is that fair? Probably not. But that's just kind of where I'm coming from with it. Like if you need an old lineman example, if he's just as good as D-Lou is right now. Damian Lewis is a good guard, by the way. Really good guard. Like if that's it, D-Lou can probably start till he's like 34. Cool. I'm okay with that. Could you have gotten that later? Maybe. Probably, actually. But I'm okay. Okay. Plug the hole, bro. That's it. Plug the hole. And we'll deal with the rest later.
That might be the name of the show. Plug the hole, bro.
No, that might be. That's going to be tough to explain without people, clicking on. But that really is how I was looking at that. Just with taking a guard specifically, I had higher standards for taking other positions, but I did like that. There were other players that I would have liked more, but I was fine. You got a starting guard with your first pick. Great. I've been mocking guards there for so long. I remember when I kept mocking Osiris Torrance there for a while. He's a guard out of Florida. Didn't take him. The Bills took him. He's a starting guard. The Bills' O-line is good. Sometimes it really is just that simple, bro. Just get starting linemen. That's it. Get starting linemen. If you got 5 starting linemen up there, you can go to the Super Bowl. Because every team don't have that.
Do you want to go to Nick, Eamon, and Warrior, or do you want to jump into these Twitter questions and get some of everybody else kind of meshed in throughout the rest of our show? What are you thinking?
Okay. So do we have a question on Nick, right? I think we do.
I'm pretty sure we do. Let me pull it up and see. Yeah. We don't have one specifically about Nick.
Okay, then I just want to say this about Nick because Eamon Warrior, real quick before we go into Twitter questions about some of the other guys in our voicemail line as well. So I didn't have him mocked to the Seahawks at all. I don't even think he made my big board because I just wasn't sure what to do with him. Like, and that was an issue for me. Now, you want to talk about guys who tested well? Jesus Christ! Like at the combine, he did everything. I think he might have been a 10 out of 10 on a little relative athletic score. Yeah, he was. Like, good Lord. I mean, this guy, workout warrior. Now, this is another thing that kind of shapes how I view the draft stuff. I don't really care about the workouts. I actually think the combine is pretty useless now the longer I've been doing this. Like, what you run, what you jump, I just don't care that much. Like, I feel like just watch the film and just give me your updated medical information and make sure I have your measurements. And that's all I really need. I don't really need to see you not play football to project how you would play football. It just doesn't work for me. But this guy, I mean, 6'3", 220. Whoa, stop right there. That's huge.
You're right.
That is DK
with pads. DB.
Yeah, that is DK playing safety. Like, guys, that's what that looks like. Which is nuts. 43-inch vertical jump. Like, bro, what?
Made in the lab.
4.38 on the 40. That's what Ken Walker ran. I think. Like, dog, what are we talking about? This guy is insane. Like, just the workout stuff. Again, I don't care about this too much, but that did stand out because that is nuts. But the reason I didn't have him mocked is because I didn't know what to do with him. I was like, I probably don't have him as a safety if I was to draft him. This is pre-draft. Like, I probably don't have him as a safety. And I'm like, okay, maybe move him to corner. You know, that seemed to be kind of cool. He's got the arm length, I think 32.5-inch arms. And the Seahawks don't have that like threshold, quote unquote, anymore. But I covered Pete too long, so that's the first thing I look at. So he had that. He can obviously run. I think he had multiple pick sixes in college, so he got hands. He uses that athleticism to make plays. So I was like, okay, maybe he's like an outside corner, but I was like, I'm not really sure. I would have liked to see like more reps there if I was going to draft him. I was like, oh, maybe he's like a nickel, but like I think he's a little too tall and not like shifty enough. And what do you know? He didn't have agility testing. He got good advice from his agents pre-draft. That was smart. Probably wouldn't have done as well on that. So I wasn't really sure. And if I'm not sure where to play you, I'm not going to draft you. It's just kind of my Mike GM rule. Particularly if it's high. If you're like a sixth round pick and I don't know what to do with you, whatever. But like, I thought he would be a first round pick. So I'm like, if I don't know where to play you, that's a problem. So I didn't like him deep. I'm like, he's not a linebacker, you know, because this is only a little bit lighter than like Ben Burkervin was, I think, you know. So I wasn't sure. It was like an ultimate tweener for me. Are you a nickel? Are you a linebacker? Probably not a free safety. You're a strong safety. You kind of got to be both in today's world. It's a corner. I wasn't sure. So that was why I was confused. And you know what's crazy, Chris? On Friday, you know, we talked to John and Mike. No, John. Well, yes, Nick as well, but John and Mike after the draft. Yeah. And they did their whole press conference. And then after I was going through my notes when I got home, I was like, they never said where they're going to play Nick. Like I got through the whole press conference. I was like, they never said it. And so that it wasn't until the end of the press conference on Saturday that I had to jump in later, like 20 minutes in and be like, hey, Mike, where are you going to play Nick? And he was like, well, you know, that's interesting. We got to figure that out. Like, could be a corner, could he probably be at the second level at nickel. Maybe he's going to train him at safety too. Basically, Mike McDonald was like, we got to figure it out. So in my head, I'm like, see, even he doesn't know. So if he doesn't know, I can understand. It makes me feel better about not knowing, I guess, is the purpose of me sharing that story. Not to say that he can't figure it out, but that was one of the holdups for me. I'm just like, if I don't know where to play you, that makes me apprehensive about like spending that high of a pick. But yeah, so Mike McDonald, when I asked him that, he was just like, let's just throw him out there, see what he does well. He mentioned nickel, Chris, in this answer. He said nickel, some dime, and he's going to train at safety as well. And then mentioned the competition at linebacker. So Mike just named every position possible that this kid could play. And I think that's kind of good. But remember, we had Ray Roberts on a while ago talking about O-line. Yep. And he was like, the worst thing is like they've been trying to get a jack of all trades and a master of none. You remember that?
Yeah, I do. As soon as you brought him up, I knew exactly where you're going. Having all these keys and not having the right combination to unlock the door. We got 100 keys, though. Which one unlocks the door, brother?
Yeah, you know, so that's kind of where I was at with Nick. And, you know, he got the Cam Chancellor comparisons. And I'm just like, see, I just wrote a whole book about the Seahawks and Cam and them. Cam was not like a do-everything safety. He got here and played strong safety next to Earl. That was it. Like he had one job. He did it great. And I think that's important when you make those comparisons. The same thing with Kyle Hamilton coming out of where did Kyle Hamilton go? He go to Notre Dame. I think it went to Notre Dame. It was the same thought. Like Kyle was very clearly like a deep safety. Now he's good enough to play some nickel too, but like it was so clear in college that that's what he did. And that's what he was going to be good at in the NFL. That's why he was I think it was a top 20 pick. So I don't see the same thing with Nick. Not to say he can't be good, but that was why, if you're wondering, like, man, Mike, you never had him, blah, blah, blah. We didn't hear much from you guys on the show about that's probably why. I wasn't sure what to do with him. And now I feel better. Mike McDonald has literally already drafted him. He's like, we still don't know. We'll figure it out. but we're not sure. So I'm very interested to see how they do that. Because I think he's gonna be a good player. I just have literally no idea where. He could play like 5 different spots. and that scares me a little bit. I would just like him to just be good at master something first, So hopefully he can do that. That's all I want to say about Nick, because he's a little kind of funky player in that regard.
Nah, you good, man. You got it. Well, look, we did get a bunch of questions, and we also shout out to our voicemails. We did get one voicemail, so we appreciate this listener. So we'll go ahead and start off questions with our voicemail. So I'll go ahead and let it run, and then we'll answer the question.
Hey guys, it's Max coming from Kitsap County. First off, love the show, love the draft. All the guys that team got, they're all physical athletes with a capital A. Just shows belief in the system and the coaching that these guys, they're going to get it done one way or another. My question to you is, how do you think the tight end room is going to shake out after drafting 2 tight ends, as well as with contract concerns with Noah Fant and having AJ Barner from just last season? Where are all these guys going to slot in? Thanks, guys. Love the show.
All right, there we go. We appreciate all that love. Remember, if you guys want to leave a voicemail, we'd love to hear from you. Really appreciate all that. Yeah, Chris, I got a lot of questions about this like draft night too. When they took Elijah Arroyo, I was like, "Yo, we traded Noah Fant." I just don't see the need to do that. Like Noah's not costing a lot. Noah's not old. I think Noah turns 28 in November. That's like that's fine. Noah's a good player. He's never been a bad player in Seattle. He's been underutilized, but never been bad. What I think about? I think I even wrote this too, Chris. That 2022 team, like I think one of the reasons they were good on offense, that is because of their rotation of the tight ends. Like Shane Waldron really found creative ways to use his tight ends. And just use all of them in the ways that they were effective. Now he was a little bit better at it, I think, with like Colby than the other ones. But like Noah had a good year. Disley probably could have been used a little bit more, but there's only one ball. So that Colby, Disley, Noah rotation, I thought was like really cool. Probably could have been maximized even more. And I think that is probably the blueprint a little bit for rostering 3 guys. Like I think you can roster 3. AJ Barner, because you already moved Brady Russell to fullback, so he's out of the equation there. So you got AJ Barner, who had a good year, but he didn't have the type of year where you wouldn't take a tight end. Like if they had taken Tyler Warren, like AJ Barner didn't have the type of year where you're like, we can't take, we're good. I don't think anybody has had that type of year other than like Spoon. But even then, after Reek's rookie year, they took Spoon, and Reek was Pro Bowler. So it's very hard to just have such a good rookie year that they're just like, we just can't draft another guy at your spot unless it's a quarterback. So I was never of the impression that AJ or Tyrese Knight, for that matter, had that great of rookie years where it's like, you can't take a linebacker, you can't take a tight end because where are we going to play him? No, man, if Elijah come in balling, play him over AJ, play him over Noah. I don't think it's that serious. So I think they should roster 3. I think that was a good pick. I haven't watched. I'm in the process of watching more Miami tape now because they have taken Elijah and they've taken Damian Martinez. But from what I've seen, yeah, man, I think this is going to be a great fit. Like this Arroyo kid can move, man. Got great feet, really can run routes. Probably going to be the best route runner in that tight end group the minute he shows up. Like he's just really, really, really good. Great feet. It wouldn't surprise me if he played like soccer or something. Growing up. So I think they'll all be fine. I think there's plenty of room for 3 tight ends if you're going to be like a 3 tight end system or like 2 tight ends, 12 personnel, 13 personnel. Because Chris, this will be my last thing on it. I really feel like Jackson's draft threw off the math there. Because remember, in 2022, they had the 3 tight ends and they pretty much used them all pretty effectively. And then they drafted Jackson. That meant, okay, we have to be an 11 personnel team. And then like Noah just wasn't used at all. And then like Disley was barely used. So I think that made it weird. So now like, okay, if you're just going to go 12, if you're going to go heavy personnel, then the 3 tight end thing is going to make sense again. So I think it's fine. You don't have to punt on any of these guys. I think it's all going to work out great. I think Noah's a better blocker than he gets credit for, so he can do some of that dirty work while Elijah runs some routes and vice versa. So yeah, I think it's going to work out pretty good. I like the question though, but yeah, I think the 3 tight end thing is going to be really, really good in Clint's offense.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. And I know Noah Fant has had a lot of injuries and hasn't been the most healthy guy. But it's plays like this where I just say, man, the upside, it screams that he could be something. And this is against the Atlanta Falcons where he just runs a nasty, nasty out route. And I just wanted to showcase when he is on the money, he's a really solid tight end. Now, obviously, I could pull up a bunch of lowlights of him missing blocks and all this other stuff. But watch 87. Sells the inside. Ooh, wow. Where you going? Gino, little underthrow, but we're not here to nitpick. So yeah, I'm all for keeping Noah Fant. Probably won't cost you much, as you mentioned. He's a formidable tight end. He just got to stay healthy, and that's part of it all. Can you stay on the field? Kind of what we talked about in previous shows with Uchenna Nwosu. But they've already invested so much into him at this point, you might as well keep him. So this tight end room is impressive. I'm a big fan of AJ Barner. I've said that since last season. He stood out to me from his ability to run block and make plays on the football when he catches it. He reminds me of just the George Kittle. He's very physical. He doesn't want to go down that first contact, and he's looking for pain. He just wants to hit somebody every single time, and he can get better. So this tight end room is going to be stacked, and it should be a bunch of fun to watch during the training camp as they prepare for the 2025 campaign. This next question comes from Axel IMTG. Instead of replacing Noah Fant, like a lot of people are stating, could Elijah Arroyo replace DK Metcalf's role? He seems more like a big and fast receiver than a tight end. John mentioned he could play the X.
Yeah, I think what I'm also learning about like GM and scout speak is when they're excited, they think these guys can do everything. You see that a lot. He can play guard, he can play tackle, he can do this, he can do that. It's like, okay, calm down, calm down. I understand they're excited. They watch these guys for like 11 months in some cases. So like finally getting them, I understand how joyous and exciting that can be. But the answer to this question is no. When from the Miami stuff I've watched, clips that other people have had, just some highlights, and then a little bit of film I've been able to dive into since he's been drafted. He reminds me of Chris. It's not like a receiver, but what's my man? What's my man from the Raiders that was like he's like a rapper now. He was on drugs for a little bit, got clean. Darren Waller. Remember?
Yes.
Yeah. He was on the Raiders. Yeah. I think he was like an addict or something like that. Married to Kelsey Plum, I think, for a little bit. But he was a really good pass catcher. Like for a minute there, like a clearly bona fide top 5 tight end. I didn't really care if he could block because he was that good as a pass catcher. That is what I would, if I'm drafting Elijah with the 50th pick, that's probably the ceiling I'm looking for there. Like, can you be Darren Waller? And Darren Waller was really good. Let me see. Pretty sure he made Pro Bowls, right? Yeah, he made a Pro Bowl in 2020. What did he have that year? He almost had 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns. There we go. And the year before, he had 1,100 yards. So didn't score a lot because he plays for the Raiders. But I that would probably be my goal for him. And I think he can get there. And he'll probably be to the point where it's like, I don't care whether he can block. I think he's fine from what I've seen. I do think that blocking in college is a lot different. That's one of the positions I'm not really sure how to see that translate just on film. Like you blocking, for instance, before we started recording today, I was watching the Syracuse game. And I was like, how many guys in the Syracuse defense that he's blocking right now will even touch the NFL? So like how does that translate? I'm just not good at that part of the watching of the film yet. I'm still learning. I will say this. What I've seen, Elijah was a very willing blocker, keeps his feet moving on contact, kind of like seeks out like, okay, let me go climb to the second level, hit somebody. Like I like the effort. And that's really what I want from tight ends. I think a really good example of that was Colby Parkinson. I don't think they asked him to block anybody ever at Stanford. And then by like year 2 or 3 with the Seahawks, he was like a legitimate like beast. Like he was very, very, very good. I could see Elijah being that. But again, if he's not, don't care because I think the pass catching ceiling is high. That's what I see. And so I'm pretty, that pick actually really, I probably like that a little bit more than the Zabel pick, honestly, because I think the ceiling there is actually pretty high. But no, not a DK replacement. DK 1 of 1, man. We got to that's a little too far with the comps. My comp is an actual tight end. That I get Darren Waller. But either way, that's a Pro Bowl tight end. I feel like that's a good comp.
Mike, we'll go 2 for 1 here. This is from At Home Chicks. How did your picks for the Seahawks do compared to the actual draft? And what are your thoughts on the offensive line talent the Seahawks acquired? And does it move the needle enough for middle of the league ranked improvement?
Yeah, so I think I don't know if I got anything right on my mock drafts. I do think the thing I got right was so one of my mocks, I had them taking Matthew Golden at 18 and then trading back into the first round to take Zabel. So they didn't do that, obviously. They just took Zabel, but they did almost trade into the first round to take Nick. And then in another mock, I think my final mock, I had them I think using trading back in the first round and then taking Tyler Booker and then trading up to like pick 35 to take Jaden Higgins. Obviously, I got both of the players wrong, but the thought of trading up to 35, like me and John were on seeing eye to eye. As far as picks, I think I only just got Martinez. I think he was on my board, and Zabel. I think that was it. Yeah, John, me and John weren't seeing eye to eye on much else. We only, yeah, that was it there. I don't know, Chris. Did you get any?
Hey man, I took a year off, man. I'm doing so poorly.
Okay.
I didn't have to do it. We didn't do a pod on it, so I was like, "Phew, we good. I'll leave it up to the big dogs, aka Dugar, and he handled it like you said. Martinez is on the board, so you know what? For Team Seahawks man to man, that's 1 point. We'll take it.
And Zabel. And Zabel. I
And
thought they
Zabel,
would
correct.
draft Zabel.
So
The
that's
guys who
2
ball
points.
out at the Senior Bowl, I was really that's like an easy. That's like a first box I look at. Like when I'm looking at a guy, I'm like, did he play in the Senior Bowl? Let me look. Oh, John might take him. And for real, that's what I was. Actually, Arroyo played in the Senior Bowl. I think he catches like a jump ball touchdown in the Senior Bowl game. That stood out to me. That was all hands. You would have loved it. High point, pushed off a little bit, but didn't draw the flag. I think it was on a 2-point conversion. I'll send you the clip of it later. But anyway, when I saw that, I was like, okay, he can ball. Jaden Higgins, too, played in that game. Also tracks the ball really well. But this is not a Jaden Higgins podcast. The second part of that question about the O-line talent, I'm not as high as John is on just the simple fact of like, oh, we have different coaches now. So our O-line will be so much better. I don't know about that. What I do think is that Christian Haynes will be better than he was as a rookie. We talked, like you said, Chris, last year we were pretty high on Christian Haynes. I'm not coming off of that. I'm not. I think Christian Haynes can be a starting guard in the NFL. Like I'm not coming off that. Now, granted, I never came off of the fact that I thought D. Eskridge would work too. So maybe Mike just don't know ball. But I'm sticking with the Christian Haynes one on that. I do think if you get a world where your week one starting line is Charles Cross from left to right, Gray Zabel, Olu Oluwatimi, Christian Haynes, Abe Lucas. We're not going to set the world on fire with that, but it's not going to be like booty cheeks. Like it won't be buns, whatever, word you want to use to describe not good. I don't think it'll be that. To the point of the question, Chris, that can probably get you to be like the 16th best O-line or something. Which, you know what?
It's a big improvement.
I will take the bar is low. 16th best O-line. That's to the point where you're probably not going to lose many games because you can't block. That type of line, you're probably, if you do lose a bunch of games, it'll be because you turned it over or you weren't healthy. But like that line right there will probably just get you through the regular season just fine. Now, maybe in the playoffs, that becomes an issue when the other team has just Pro Bowlers on the D line. That happens. I think the Packers are a really good example of that. They had a decent O-line, got to the playoffs. The other team had Jalen Carter. It was a wrap. It happens. That's fine. But they got there to the playoffs. I think that's where the Seahawks can be maybe with that 5-man lineup that I outlined.
Perfect. We'll stick with the offensive line, and we'll go here. This is from Philip O'Nemus. Really surprised to see every team pass on Ohio State's center, Seth McLaughlin. Did the Seattle Seahawks make a mistake not snag him in the 7th? I don't know, man. When you come off an Achilles injury as a big man too, that's tough. And I understand the concern. I'm not saying that's all the reason why every team waited till the 7th round to even draft him, but that's a big how are you going to respond from that injury? Like it just happened last season, 2024. I forget the month exactly, but it's recent. So the recovery is the biggest thing. And maybe the Seahawks will regret not taking him, but I understood the process of, we're not sure about that. We can go elsewhere. Mike, I don't know where you stand on watching his game play because he was projected, I think, a 3rd, 4th round pick, maybe even earlier, 2nd, 3rd in some drafts, some draft boards. So,
yeah, I think I think I had forgot about him a little bit because I watched Ohio State. I really wanted to watch Will Howard, so I watched a lot of their offense. But I had whoever gave me the film for that. I can't remember, but I had them pull like all the CFP games because I usually like to see people towards the end of their season, especially with a team like Ohio State because they made the CFP. So I want to see you against all the good teams. That just made that easier. And so I don't think Seth played in any of those. So that it was very
He was
easy
hurt.
for me.
He got hurt in November.
Yeah, so like maybe he played against Michigan then, but I think I just watched literally every game after that, so that made me forget about him a little bit. I'm with you on the injury thing. The only thing that maybe would have take a flyer on him, Chris, was the nugget from his entry in the Beast, which I had forgot about until someone sent in this question. It was that he sold shirts or hats, excuse me, that said "Run the damn ball" on them. He sold them and then gave all the profits to charity.
Wow.
That would have been enough. That would have been enough. If Robbie Oots didn't have the mustache and the mullet, I probably would have just took Seth there instead of him. That would have been tough. I probably would have had to flip a coin in the draft room. Like, do we take the fullback Oots or do we take Mr. Run the damn ball with the blown Achilles? Like that would have been a tough one for me. But like you said, that's a big injury to have when you're a big guy. Like you said, it just happened. But that just probably tells me the medical grade probably wasn't there. We'll see. But they did take a couple guys. Took a guy who blew his ACL in December, and they took a guy who had his hamstring come off the bone in October. So it really just depends on the medicals there. We don't have access to those. But with that little nugget right there, again, I didn't watch too much of Ohio State before he got injured, so I don't have a great point of reference there. But that little nugget right there, man, on top of how good he supposedly is, that might have done it for me. At least maybe in the 7th round. Like maybe instead of taking Ricky White, you take Seth. Like I think I'd have been cool with that.
All right. This next one comes from Nick Z Red. Thoughts? How are we feeling about DK and Geno trades now that we see what players the Seahawks got from those picks?
Good question. Appreciate that. I do like that we can just like see the math right away. We don't have to like wait years down the line if they use this pick or whatever. Like they got picks in this draft and they used them. Cool. So the way the math breaks down is they had pick 52 from the Steelers. They used that with pick 82, which was their own 3rd round pick, their original pick, and used that to move up and get Eamon Worry. So they flipped DK essentially, not total 1-for-1, into this safety or this DB or this corner. Again, don't know what he is. And Chris, I don't know if we've seen a cleaner swap of picks right here. They used the pick they got in the Geno trade on another quarterback. It's great. It's super easy to see. So the DK stuff, that's fine. I wasn't a huge Nick guy. I got to watch a little bit more. I'll just feel better when I see him play somewhere. That's probably it. I think I'm leaning towards like corner, like outside corner. Actually, believe it or not, would be my preference. Then if I had to rank them, I'd go outside corner, nickel, strong safety. I guess would be my top 3 for him. Just I want to see that first before I feel really good about the pick. Swapping Geno for a 3rd round quarterback, it really just depends on what the 3rd round quarterback becomes. That it really does. If Jalen Milroe who was a 3rd round quarterback lately? Was Kyle Trask a 3rd round quarterback? I'm trying to think of one, but
rash. But I feel you.
Well, yeah, I'm just trying to think of a 3rd round quarterback. I just really can't remember. No, he was picked 64. He was 2nd round quarterback, whatever. So same difference. If he's that, like a guy who never plays, doesn't start, yada yada, well then that was terrible. It was a terrible idea to trade Geno for him. And then if he was another 3rd round quarterback who was good. Oh, Russ. If he's Russ, then it's great. It's just we'll see. I do think though, Chris, what I was looking up this today, I think I even tweeted it. The salary of the quarterback room right now really shows you the value of hitting on a rookie quarterback outside of the 1st round. Like if you get a pick outside of the 1st round, it's a quarterback and becomes a starter. My God, the savings is crazy. So Sam Darnold is on a 3-year deal worth 100 M's. Good for Sam. That's great. Jalen's deal is 3 years, $6.2 million. Like he hasn't signed it yet, but yeah, 3 years, 6.2, or excuse me, 4 years, 6.2. Yo, now think about that. If he was to start even for 2 years of that, that is huge. And then you can obviously move off of Sam Darnold. That is the difference, man. And Sam's not even in the top 15 of quarterbacks in terms of average annual salary. I'm not talking about talent, just how much money he makes. That's not even a top 15 quarterback contract. That's 100 mil.
Got one for you. 2022 draft. Maybe he's a little bit better than Malik Willis, who we've seen play.
Yes.
I know.
So
a little better meaning he's probably a starter because Desmond Ridder, bad. Didn't work out in 2023. Okay.
If he was Malik, that would be bad. That would be bad if he was. If you traded
backup?
Geno for the opportunity to take Malik, that'd be bad. I think that would be bad. I think he's got to be.
I'm trying to make myself work for this here, and it's like he's a backup.
Well, I just needed a third round quarterback that was bad and one that was good. That's all I really needed for the example. So the good one is Russ. The bad one is Malik Willis. That would be a bad outcome. So it's a lot of wait and see with the picks. I do like just simply taking a quarterback with that pick. It's like I said, it's pretty rare. I feel like we get that swap. One comes to mind. I think the Vikings used the pick that they got in the Diggs trade on Justin Jefferson. Like it was a clean 1-1. On the flip side of that, I think the Titans used the pick they got from the AJ Brown trade on Treylon Burks. Bad. See what I mean? Like it can really go either way with those. I think those are the picks that they use on those respective receivers. So we'll see. I can probably get by for now on the Nick one because I do think he's going to be a good player. Jalen, I just legitimately have no idea. He's the biggest wild card in the draft for me.
Well, let's stick with Milroe here. This is from Rumpelstiltskin. I've heard Milroe has accuracy issues, and that's rare to improve that at the next level in the NFL. He's also a great athlete. Thoughts, Mike?
Yo, Chris, let me tell you right now. Great athlete is underselling it. This dude, he might be a generational athlete. He is you know what's crazy about him? I don't think he's like Cam Newton mixed with Lamar Jackson. That's just nuts. That's the greatest athlete ever. That's a little too far. That's legitimately the greatest athlete we've ever seen. I'm not joking. Like a Cam Newton, Lamar Jackson hybrid. Like Lamar might be one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen. Just Lamar. Now you add in Cam with his running ability and his power. Yeah, no. But Jalen is very, very, very special. Like when I watch Jalen, let me pull up my Jalen. Almost said Hurts. Shout out to Jalen Rose to being the first ever Jalen. Like it's just what a common name. There's a kid in every round named Jalen of the NBA and the NFL draft. It's just nuts. Jalen's everywhere. So when I watch Jalen, a lot of my notes come down to like, oh my goodness, this kid is different. Like his acceleration is just absurd. Like he can get through. That's how he has all these big runs. Is because when he gets like neck and neck with the linebacker, or even a DB, he has just burst. He can just take off and go, and they can't touch him. Like he had to play in the Georgia game. They played in the Georgia game, and they have a first round safety at Malachi Starks. I think he went to the Ravens. I liked him, by the way. He gets to the corner. He makes Malachi miss, and he just goes down the sideline for a touchdown. Like just gone. Can't touch him. 72-yard run against LSU. Just gone. Can't touch him. He had some like that against South Carolina too when I was watching some Eben Worry tape. Like the athletic stuff is legitimately the best. It might be the best trait. It's definitely the best trait of any quarterback in the class. Like Jalen's athleticism is no quarterback has a singular trait as good as that. It might be, and I obviously didn't watch every prospect, but his athleticism and running ability might be the best trait of any player in the class. Like it is just unreal how strong he is, but then he has long speed. It's like Ken Walker. Like Ken's got like tree trunks for thighs, and he's got power, and then he can run for 80 yards faster than everybody because he runs 4.38. I haven't seen anything like this. And then you're like, okay, well, I'm watching his tape. I'm like, Okay, well, why wasn't he drafted in the first round? We just saw Anthony Richardson, another special athlete, just have this same stuff and go in the first round. And then you keep watching and you're like, oh, okay, this passing thing is going to take some time. And he's not Anthony Richardson. I think that would be an unfair comp because Anthony Richardson just for real, just remember that scene in The Longest Yard where I think his name was Benny or whatever in the movie. He tries to ask to play quarterback, and Adam Sandler says, "Sure, let me see what you got." He just throws it 5 yards over his head, and Adam Sandler's like, "That's why. Sit down and shut up." That's what some of Anthony Richardson's passes look like. Just hitting people in the third row, and which is hard to do in a football game because they ain't that close. It ain't basketball. Jalen is not doing that. It's just like it's more nuanced. I feel like with Jalen, it's more like, oh, that ball, that corner route needed to be layered because you're trying to get it in between the safety and the linebacker, and you just hit the water boy instead. Like that's not good. Or oh, I watched like some Jalen games and I'm like, wow, they're like 2 throws over the middle in the whole game, and out of like 40 throws, that's a problem. Or I'm like, oh, in the South Carolina game, I'm like, okay, you're just not seeing underneath defenders at all. They get through multiple picks in that game, simply just not seeing DBs. So that's what I mean when I say the passing stuff's coming around. Not Anthony Richardson accuracy issues, but definitely like, oh, okay, you just need to see the field much better. And that is going to take a lot of time. I feel like that's going to take like a couple of years. I feel like of just live bullets, a lot of reps, a lot of throwing picks and stuff like that, and seeing the speed of it, seeing how long NFL DBs are, seeing how tight those windows are. It's going to take a little bit. I didn't see a lot of like the quick game didn't look natural. It really just was like, oh, I just dump it to my tight end and that's it. That was the quick game, at least on the games I watched. So that's what I mean. I'm like, it's not great. Didn't feel comfortable beating blitzes with his arm, at least from what I saw. So it felt like Chris is gonna take some time. Yep. The reason why, and you know this, we've talked about Jalen Milroe off the record or off camera a bunch of times now. The reason I think that you and other people might be able to talk me into this, because it's like the Adrian Peterson clip on the NFL 100 when he's like, when I see him throw that ball, that's how I feel when I see Jalen. When I see him run that ball, I'm like, yo, this dude it'd be almost like if you had DK play running back. I just this is a special dude running that pill, and that I'm surprised he was available in the third round. Like if I was another team that had a path to giving him more reps, like the Saints, you start for the Saints tomorrow. Derek Carr's shoulder's going to fall off. I'd have took him because boy, you throw them goal balls to Rashid Shaheed, we're going to feed families in New Orleans. But yeah, I just don't know for this offense, for the reps that he's going to need. I don't know. I just don't know, Chris.
That's fair. This next one is from Travis. It's a 2-parter. In your opinion, most underrated pick for the Seahawks draft class, and thoughts on Milroe over Shador.
Do you have an overrated? I want you to go first on this.
Yes.
Or was it underrated or overrated?
Underrated. Did I word that wrong?
Yes. No. I think you said underrated. Go ahead.
Yes. Well, underrated. I will go. I think it'll be Robbie Oots, and it'll be because he is doing all the dirty work, and Ken Walker has 1,300 yards, 9-10 touchdowns. Everybody's gonna forget the offensive line, and Robbie Oots is handling business in the trenches. So I think he would be the guy that just kind of goes under the radar, doesn't get the love that he would deserve, kind of like a Tyler Lockett, right? Tyler does all these great things, and then somehow he just falls short of top 12 receiver in the league, which I'm guilty of at times. But then it's so hard when you look at all the receivers to quantify how great he is on a weekly basis. So we all know that Tyler Lockett said to Tennessee, best of luck to him. But with Robbie Oots, I think he'll be the underrated guy where it's, I don't know much about him other than he's our fullback. And then you go back and watch the film, you're like, good Lord, he is just leveling linebackers, blowing up safeties, creating all these really impressive holes. And Ken has a phenomenal year in this zone scheme, and Oots is a part of it.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think mine would probably be if he can be healthy, probably Torrey Horton. Because man, he was killing it at Colorado State. Like really good really good long speed. Like his long strides. That that take the top off are just game breaking speed. He was the punt returner there. I think he ran a few of those back. If I had to think of a comp, probably like a longer striding, probably like I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Actually, you know who has like the long strides? He's not a punt returner, but like George Pickens or like it just reminds me of those receivers who can take a slant to the house, like OBJ used to do quite a bit. Like, OBJ just caught a 65-yard slant. Safety took a bad angle. He gone. Like OBJ was able to do that for quite a long time. Pickens did that. Terry McLaurin is like that. Like he just kind of reminds me of that. I don't know if he's as good a route runner as all the guys I just named, but like when you're returning punts, you got to have that long speed and that acceleration. Like otherwise, you're not going to score. So Tyler had that actually as well, mostly on kickoff returns, not as much punts, but did it on punts too. So that would probably be my guy if he can be healthy. Hamstrings are very dangerous. Chris has been out. Oh no, you're out with a finger injury right now from our flag games. But yeah, that hamstring is taking you out for a while too. So
man, it's like a hiccup. You eat too fast, it just comes out of nowhere. It'd be catching me randomly too. But haven't had any issues since. I just fractured this pinky here, so I've been on the sideline. But May 3rd, baby, I'm back.
Of course, you want to come back during rookie camp when I can't play. That's okay. That's all right. It's selfish, but it's okay. What was the second part of that question?
It was your thoughts on Milroe being selected over Shedeur.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is an easy one. So this is the other reason why I can probably be talked into the Milroe thing because, and I was telling Chris earlier this when he showed up wearing all that gold at the VMAC, is Milroe is that type of dude who's going to win the interview. Like, you know how a coach wins his press conference, like his introductory thing, like, yep, he won the press conference, like Dan Campbell, I can easily see how Milroe did that. Like he just speaks like a dude who he has perspective, like for instance, he was at the draft day one, didn't get drafted, had a very expensive suit on, didn't get drafted. Well, went back home to Houston or wherever. He flew to Texas to watch it. I believe that's where he's from. And that's where he called us from after he got picked. And we asked him about that. And he was like, look, man, I just wanted to hear my name called. Didn't matter where. No matter where I got picked, I was going to have to come in and prove myself, and that's all that mattered. I heard my name. Let's get to work. Like it's a simple response, but I can just see how he's endears himself. And now he's a military kid. In the sense that like his mom was in the Navy, dad was a Marine. Like, come on now. Just well-mannered kid. Yeah, he's got the little the shirt line or what the letter naysayer no type thing going on. Like he speaks. He reminds me of Jalen Hurts, where like when he speaks, it's almost like he's speaking in like haikus or like catchphrases, but in a more genuine way than Jalen Hurts or Russell Wilson. It feels more just like that's how he like approaches like life, Mike McDonald is very like same way. Like you could tell he has his principles that he lives by, words of affirmation, blah, blah, blah. Like he's just going to win you over when you meet him. He seems like a good kid. And I bring all that up to say, he's going to have the work ethic to fix what's wrong. And I think that is the issue with Anthony Richardson, for instance, with his accuracy issues is people who are around Indianapolis will just tell you he's not the hardest worker in the building. That's an issue. Like he's not the first guy in the door, last guy out, which is awful for you. I would never draft a quarterback like that in any round. I need you to be that guy. Like Geno was, like Russ was. I need you to be first guy in, last guy out. If the janitor don't know you because you always running into him when he's locking up, that's a problem. Like that, I need you to be that. Jalen, by all accounts, is that. And so if let's say he gets out there and starts and stinks it up as a rookie his whole year, you can bet that his entire offseason will be dedicated to fixing all that was wrong. Like he'll do nothing else but that. He won't be on a bunch of podcasts with Michael Parsons. He won't be at the Met Gala. He won't be. And this stuff matters though, for real. Like this is it. Like look at what happened to CJ Stroud. Had that good rookie year and was out there sumo wrestling with Michael Parsons for all his offseason. Came back not playing as well. And where's CJ now? Quiet. You ain't see him all offseason. Like that stuff matters. And Jalen's not gonna have that problem. I can guarantee it. Like he's going to be locked in and fixing the stuff that's wrong. He's going to be held accountable. Very reminds me of Geno in that way. So that is why let's bring that back to Shedeur. Shedeur is probably like that, but don't carry himself that way. Like you could, like Damian Martinez, when we talked to him today, in one of the first responses was like, "Yeah, I'm beast mode 2.0. Get ready." Like that's
Okay.
how Shador carries himself. Like, yo, I'm him. Which is there's a way to go about being that way. I don't care when you're a running back if you think you're this stuff like that, like you him. Cool. But there's a different level when you're the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? It's a different level of humility and confidence that you have to have. Russ had a great blend of that. He had great respect for Matt Flynn and Tavares, but he was like, I'm about to take both their jobs by Labor Day. Watch. You know, like he had it. And Jalen operates very similarly. He's going to come in, respect the vets, and then try to take their jobs. You know, like I think Shador and him are the same, but they carry it differently. It just, and how you carry it matters. That's why Jalen got taken 92nd. Shador was damn near Mr. Irrelevant, you know? So I think talent-wise, they're probably the same. And I actually like Shador more because of the talent. Particularly the accuracy. I'm big on that. But Chris, I think from a person standpoint, which matters at quarterback more than like nose tackle. Damn, I'm hard on nose tackles today. I'm just making them sound like big buffoons. But for real, just it don't matter if you I don't care about your personality. Yeah, just stay in that A gap. Anyway,
Literally.
yeah, no, for real, that's it. Stay there, and I don't need to do anything else. Whereas I need you to lead as a quarterback. So I can understand teams doing that. I knew that's why they would take Jalen over like Shador, because you guys hear John Snyder in his radio interview sometimes. John don't like this NIL era, kids having a bunch of money, already owning 3 cars before they get in the NFL. That's not his bag. Look how often John kept talking about guys who stayed where they were at in college and turned down 6 figures, you know, to not transfer. We've talked about this on the show. We don't have to rehash that. But just saying that's John's bag. I knew that the Seahawks would like Jalen the person. So, and I knew that they would not. They didn't meet with Shador, I don't think, but I know he would have bombed that. I'm
This
1,000% sure of that.
Yep. This next one is from DK Owns You. How long do you think before the Seahawks should keep Milroe at the backup developing before he is ready?
And so, Chris, the last thing on Milroe, I guess, is this is why I wasn't sold, because I'm like, he needs to play. Like scout. So right now he's on the team with Drew Lock. I'm excluding Jaron Hall for the sake of this. So right now he's got Drew Lock, Sam Darnold. They just gave him 100 M's. Okay, when is Jalen going to get his snaps? Let's say there's 85 snaps available for quarterbacks in let's say just a training camp practice. If Sam takes 60 of them and Drew takes 15, that's like 10 snaps left for Jalen. Not to say that that's going to be the breakdown, but I've seen it look like that in camp before, where the third string dude gets nothing. Jalen's not going to develop like that. He needs live bullets. Like I said, he needs to see the speed of this from the DB perspective, reading stuff. Like he just needs to see it more. If you just park him for a couple years, I'm not with that. I think he needs the bullets. You got to play him. And they're just probably not going to do that. And I understand why they're not going to do that, because they just gave Sam Darnold $100 million. But that's what I would do. So the question, how long would you have him? A week. It's like, okay, maybe not a week. Here's what I would do. I've made this analogy before because it's one of my favorite scenes from one of my favorite movies, Dark Knight. You take the Joker, took that pool stick, broke it, threw it on the ground, said tryouts. You 3 dudes, fight to the death, go. I think that's how they should do it. That's how Pete did it when it was Russ, T-Jack, and Matt Flynn. That's how Mike McDonald should do it now. I do not think it should be Sam's our starter. You guys get in where you fit in. That's what they said is going to be the plan. The QB3, QB2, everybody's going to get their reps. Whatever. Disagree with going about it that way. I think you get to training camp or mandatory mini camp or whatever the first thing is, where they're all there together, and you roll that ball out and you say, fight, go. Darnold, Drew, Jalen. Everybody gets reps. Everybody throws to the ones. Everybody goes against the one defense. Go. Best guy starts against whoever they play. That's how I would do that. Because I think Jalen needs that. Now, if he loses, then it has to sit, then whatever. But if it's even like the competition is like relative, go with the rook. That's how I would do it. That's not how they're gonna do it, but that is how I would do it.
Well, speaking of that, this is from Mar MD_. Do you think we'll get some packages for Milroe in games? Fun fact.
So
I pulled up. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
what's the fun fact? I want to hear that first.
I pulled up to the draft, said what's up to one of the Seahawks personnel, and I was talking about, oh, y'all got Jalen. He was excited. He was like, oh, yeah, we're going to have packages for him. I was talking to Coach McDonald. He's saying these teams got the game plan for that. Whether or not he plays, the fact is they're going to have the game plan. And when he said that, I said, you know what? It's a great point. Even if it is 10 plays, let's say the Seahawks just have 10 plays for this kid, which is to Mike's point. Is that enough live bullets? Who knows? Depends on what the play is exactly. If it's just him catching a wildcat, reading the defense is running, hell, if the offensive line is what it's supposed to be, I can come out there and do that. Just don't let me get hit. Anywho, if he's going to be in those packages where they're using him, that could be to the benefit of the Seahawks offense, and that could catch a defense off guard because if they break the pull stick and it's a free for all and it is close, I think Jalen will get a lot more reps and he will be the quote unquote backup with an opportunity to get in and play some meaningful snaps, maybe in a goal line package or maybe in 1st and 10 when they want to get some yards, get the run game going, do something different. So I think he'll get meaningful snaps. I don't know how many live snaps he'll get, but I think he will get some. Come preseason, I would expect him to be the starting guy. I would really expect him to go out.
There's a take right there.
Yeah, I would expect him to be the guy that's starting for the preseason. Drew Lock has, he's been here, he knows it, but I think they're going to want to see what the young buck is made of. So I think the first preseason game, you're going to throw out Jalen Milroe and see what he has. He's going to probably play all the way, probably through the maybe third quarter, and you're going to get a lot of him to see what he can do, and then Drew Lock comes in. That's kind of how I'm envisioning it and how they want to use him. And then when the regular season starts, damn, okay, this kid, maybe he does have something. He'll still sit, but he'll also get opportunities to go out there. It's kind of like what the
what you're describing is what they were doing with Trey Lance to start. They were having like Jimmy play most of the snaps, and they had like Trey Lance packages.
Yes,
that was.
And I'm not gonna lie.
The
Against the
same
Seahawks, before he broke his leg, he was going crazy, and then his leg fell off. But another example would be Justin Fields. He would come in for Russ on certain occasions, which I didn't like at all. To me, that was just why have Russ then at this point? I didn't like it because I didn't see Justin in that same light. That was the difference. To your point, Jalen is just, like you said, athletically phenomenal. Like what Justin Fields is, that's where Justin would want to be. He would want to be a Jalen with the athleticism, doing the things that he can do, having a cannon for an arm. Obviously, the accuracy needs to be worked on, but being able to just take it to the house on any running play, if the Steelers had that, they'd probably be like, hey, bro, we're going to use you even more often. But the Seahawks have that luxury now, so I think he's going to get ample opportunity to get in the game and have an impact play.
Oh, two things. One, Mike McDonald gave a weird quote when asked about this. This was on Friday night. He said, Sam is going to take by far and away over 90% of our snaps. However, Jalen deserves and earns the right to go out there, then we'll do that if it's going to help the team win, move the ball, and give defensive coordinators headaches. So he's kind of speaking to like a package thing with those extra 10%, to what you are talking about there. So that leads me to my second point. There's another movie reference here. I am firmly and belligerently against the package thing. Like I just, for the reasons you spoke about it with Justin Fields, I don't like the package thing, because to whoever you spoke to, like, oh, they're going to have to account for this, whether we use it or not. Well, you're not really like cheating the math there, because you still have to practice those plays. So you're still taking time out of your practice schedule to rep them, install them, go over them, blah, blah, blah. So then if you do that and don't use them, then you really just wasted your own time, as much as like you can gain from the defense not having seen it before, like, but you're still only so many hours in a day and you're allocating time to practicing them. So like it just kind of cancels itself out to me. But more so my being anti-package thing is like Jalen's not Taysom Hill. Like, and I don't think Justin Fields is either, which is also why I hated that. I don't think Trey Lance is Taysom Hill. Like he's not gadget guy. These are quarterbacks. And I think they should be quarterbacks. And I think if your quarterback is a weapon, then that's great. If he's also a quarterback, if he's just a weapon dude, then I don't think that I just don't like the use of that. If he can be a quarterback, I don't like that. So like how Penn State was using Tyler Warren, he was weapon guy. That makes sense for like a tight end or like a running back, maybe even a receiver, depending on the skills. If he's your quarterback and he can throw, then he should be your quarterback. So I don't like the weapon thing. I don't like the here's 9 plays for you. Go. No, man. Give me the 9D plays and let me go out there and be me. So I think that's what they should do. They're probably not going to do that. Again, this is what Mike would do, not what they're going to do. They're going to do what Chris is outlining. Have this package, give it 9-10 plays or whatever a game, like ideally. I am against that. I think Jalen should just get to be a quarterback, because the upside there is so much greater if he is. Like if this hits, dog, they got something special brewing here, because the best possible version of Jalen Milroe is unreal. As a perennial Pro Bowl player, because he can move like no other, and then the best possible version of him is super accurate. It's like, oh my god, shoot! Even if he's not that accurate, Jalen Hurts this year had his receivers complaining about him throwing the ball. Super Bowl MVP, right? Like even if he never becomes Joe Burrow with the accuracy, he's still one of the better quarterbacks in the league when the lights are bright. Jalen Hurts, I mean. If Milroe becomes that, like if he's only just like deep ball merchant and throws a bunch of screens, whatever, because he can also just run for 100 yards, well, then that's fine. Like I think you got to work to get to that. And I don't think trying to squeeze whatever, trying to justify the Sam Darnold contract or whatever, or signing him is worth sacrificing that. Because I remember, Chris, people would be like, when they signed Sam Howell or traded for him, they were like, they should play Sam Howell. We already know what Geno is. We don't know what Sam Howell is yet. I hated that logic. But like, I do think we do in this case know what like Sam's going to give you by and large. And we know what Jalen could give you. Oh, Jesus Christ. Get out there and do it. Because like I said, the best version of that is better than anything Sam Darnold could ever be. The best version. I have to say he is going to be that. But if he gets there. See, I'm not a big of the package thing. I'd rather you just make him a quarterback, play him like a quarterback. Because as we've think of those 2 examples we just gave with the Trey Lance and the Justin Fields. That didn't work. it really didn't. Like maybe it works in some short yardage goal line stuff, but like nah, man. Like they're not that, So I think they should just treat Jalen like a quarterback, because that's what he is. And I think it should give him a chance to just generally beat out Drew Lock and Darnold. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But if he does, and you got something special on your hands, just like you had when Russell Wilson was a starting quarterback making minimum wage.
And maybe that's what they're banking on. Perhaps that's what they'll do, and they're just talking it up this way and fight to the death. So we shall see. But I'm probably guessing they're going to do it the way they said.
They're going to do it your way. Yeah, they're going to do it the package way, and I don't like it. I don't like it.
This next one comes from, again, at Home Chicks. In your experience with the past Seahawks drafts, does this one seem like athletic traits weighed heavier in evaluation, or just a scheme fit thing?
It's interesting because I don't think they went scheme fit like super heavy, to be honest. Jalen's not a scheme fit at all. Like that's the other thing about Jalen. To make this work, you got to change the whole offense. Which, if you have to, that's fine. But it's not like he can just run what Drew Lock and Sam run. Like it would be a completely different offense. So it's weird that's another thing about getting him reps. If he's just getting reps at all the same concepts that Sam's good at or that Drew Lock's good at, no, he's a totally different player, So that's another reason why I was like, this is kind of square peg, round hole. But so I actually don't think they would scheme fit super heavy. I think athleticism has mattered before, like we've mentioned with the 2022 draft had a bunch of good athletes in it. 2023 had some good athletes in it, not like super fast guys. Like Charbonnet and JSN were pretty slow, but like D Hall is a great athlete. Jackson's a good athlete. Charbonnet is a good athlete, good balance. Who else was in that draft? Oh, Spoon. Spoon's incredible. So the athleticism thing, I don't think is different than previous drafts. 2022 is another good example of that. The scheme fit thing, I don't think really stands out. They got a bunch of guys who like if Zabel got drafted to a scheme that runs a bunch of like what Grubb was just running, I think he'd be fine in that, for instance. I've talked about Eamon Worry. I don't really know. He fits, but I don't know how yet. Arroyo's good scheme fit. Riley Mills, good scheme fit. Robbie Oots, obviously scheme fit because he, name's Robbie Oots. Doesn't get more scheme fitty than that. And then Damian Martinez, I think, is an excellent scheme fit. Everybody else, I guess that's half the class, but I don't think that was the case. It wasn't just this is they fit the scheme, so let's do this. And I think you have to be careful about that for two reasons. One, you don't want to take a lesser player just because he fits the scheme better. Like, get the best players. Two, in this league, if your OC kills it, he's gone in a year. It doesn't, you can't just invest these long-term investments in guys because they know your OC. I was just telling somebody that about Will Howard not getting drafted by the Raiders because they have Chip Kelly. It was like, well, okay, what if John Spytek and Pete Carroll don't love Will Howard? They only draft him because he's Chip Kelly's guy. Well, if Chip Kelly kills it, he's probably going to be coaching somewhere else in 2026. So now you're just stuck with this quarterback you don't like because Chip told you to draft him. Like that's an example. So I think that the thing with this draft really was, whether they want to admit it or not, fix our offense. And right. I think that they took some good steps toward doing that. So yeah, I think the Jalen Milroe pick is really a good example of like them not really caring about scheme and just trying to take players with upside. And that's probably the other thing with Nick, Arroyo, and Jalen. In a healthy Torrey Horton, I think the upside is really high for those 3.5 dudes right there. Like the best version of them, like I've talked about, is really good. I think that can be really special. I think that was more important than like just because they were good athletes. Yeah, I mean, no one wants to draft bad athletes, but I think it was more like, okay, this player's upside is high. This is why it's high. Good character, not a knucklehead. Let's take him.
This next one is from Dalton 1527. What's the success rate with taking college offensive tackles and bumping them inside league wide? Is it considered good practice, particularly for zone versus man schemes?
So this is something that I talked with Brandon Thorne of the Trench Warfare newsletter. He does a lot of the O-line scouting for Bleacher Report as well. I've quoted him in articles before. Shout out to Brandon. So this is something I talked to him about earlier this offseason because as you guys have noticed, you could tell with the question, there were a lot of tackles in this draft who can play guard, left tackles, and right tackles. Like a bunch of tackles in this class, from Kelvin Banks to Josh Carnerly, Rainier Beach kid. Just so many of the tackles, the Mimbu kid from Missouri, so many of them. And I was like, why is that? And I'm not going to say the whole thing that Brandon mentioned to me, but he said typically it's athleticism. You got to be a better athlete at the NFL level to play tackle because you're operating with more space against better athletes on the other end. Makes sense. It's different. It's different athleticism to just like play at Mizzou than in the NFC North. So that's part of it. That's why you're seeing guys move. It's an arm length thing as well. Defensive ends in the NFL have really long arms, and if they get their arms on you first because you got the T-Rex thing going as a left tackle, you're cooked. So that's the reason that those guys get moved as well. And then like a power thing as well. So that's generally some of the stuff he mentioned to me. I never asked him actually if it's better for a zone scheme or a man scheme. That's a good question. I just think generally, this is me just kind of being a novice when it comes to O-line evaluation and mostly leaning on the experts like Brandon. From what I kind of gathered, your scheme is just kind of what you need is what you need for the scheme. I don't think a certain type of tackle to guard conversion or whatever matters that much. I just think in general, that's why guys get moved. Your arms are too short. You're not that good of an athlete. You may be a little slower, whatever, heavy feet. That's why you get guys moving to guard and playing like a power scheme. I think that's really why. And depending on what your drawback is, that's where you'll fit into a scheme. Like if you were a left tackle in college, but you got heavy feet, you're probably going to be a guard, but you should play on like a gap scheme. What if you're a left tackle and you're light on your feet, but you're just not maybe super strong or the best athlete in space, or your arms are maybe short, like Gray's able, then I could put you in a zone scheme. You know what I mean? Like it depends on the guy. I don't think I can't tell you about success rate either. That's something I'd probably have to ask Brandon, but I will say this. There's a good track record of it working in the league. There's a lot of Pro Bowl, Hall of Fame, all-pro guards who were college tackles. Like it definitely can work. It works a lot more than the inverse, taking you as a guard and making you a tackle. That's a lot harder. Who was my man in the Super Bowl that was doing that for the Chiefs? Then it just gave out by the time he got to the
oh my god.
Yeah, it was they had Tooney. He was like an all-pro guard, had to play left tackle, and he was doing it for a little bit, and then the push came to shove in the playoffs, and boy, it was not working because it's just hard. you usually just don't have the arm length and the athleticism to play tackle. That's why you're a guard. So the inverse doesn't really work much at all. Tackle to guard works just fine. And I think it works regardless of scheme.
This next one is from Abraham Newelt. This draft hit different. Would you attribute that to John operating without Pete or John operating without Mike?
I don't know if it hit different. It does feel like, Chris, it feels like people were really excited about this draft. Maybe more so than in the past. You know what I think that's happening, honestly, is you guys are getting more and more involved with the pre-draft process yourselves. You're making your own mocks. Everyone's got their mocks, simulators with PFF, Pro Football Network, The Athletic, The Ringer, Yahoo. Everyone, there's so much stuff. So there's more guys to fall in love with. So it's more likely that the team you like will take the guys you like because there are more guys that you like. Instead of being like, oh, I only know 8 guys. So if they don't take any of them, our class stinks. But now it's like there were dudes, I would tweet out who they took in the 7th round, and they'd be like, man, Mike, such and such was right there. That's in the 7th round. Like, how do you guys even know who they're in the 7th round? That's rhetorical, obviously, but the fact that you guys know and have your preferred picks for like the 7th round. We got 2 questions today about Seth McLaughlin. Like, I'm not knocking those questions, but that speaks to the point. You guys care about more dudes, so it is more likely that they can take the dude you like. I think that is what speaks to why it may feel a little different, because I don't come away with this feeling like they took a bunch of potential all-pro guys. I do think there's some guys with some high ceilings that we mentioned. They took a bunch of linemen again. They've done that before. Took 3 last year, so I don't think that feels different. Again, I don't think the scheme fit was any different. Trying to put that together. I do think this was another class, just like 2022 and 2023, where they're of the impression they just got the best players available. Will that be true? We'll see. We've gone over this before. They've thought they had the best such and such there. And that was not the case. That reminds me now, Chris, did you see, this was a very funny moment? Jalen Milroe on Friday told us, he said the Seahawks knew they were getting the best quarterback in the class, and they emphasized that. He said that to us in reference to his 30 visit. So you saw that.
Yes.
And I think it was my man Brian at Hawk Blogger. I think he asked, hey, John, Jalen told us that you guys told him he was the best quarterback in the class. Is that true? And John Snyder, my dog, love you, bro. Please learn how to lie. That was the time he needed to lie, because he looked at us and said, no, kid's lying. Good kid. Not the best quarterback in the class. And I'm just like, John, why did you do that? Just say yes. Who cares? That's it. Who cares? Because we're never going to know otherwise that you thought other guys were better, because it doesn't matter because you took Jalen. Like, let's say their QB1 was Cam Ward. It doesn't matter if it was. You don't need to tell us that. Just say it was Jalen. That's it. No one's going to call your bluff on that. You don't have your draft board. Anyway, I bring that up to speak about like having the best insert this at a position. Like if they think they had Gray Zabel, for instance, as their number 1 interior lineman, John needs to stop saying that out loud, because if Gray don't pan out and Tyler Booker's like an all-pro, granted you couldn't get Tyler because he got drafted ahead of you, but now we know you thought Gray was better. Like that, he's gonna get in trouble doing that. He should stop saying that out loud. Like he got to get better at lying. He's just not a good liar. And that Jalen thing was so awkward because he called one of your own players a liar.
He's not even just like day one, man.
Yeah, that's just it. That was a bad start to the relationship. So no, I don't think any of those variables really factored in. And honestly, guys, I really can't emphasize this enough. John and his guys do the draft. They really do. I encourage you guys to go listen to Mike McDonald's press conference today or from Saturday and talk about how much he keeps saying, yo, we come in late as coaches. They've done the legwork. We just either agree, disagree, or give our opinions on the work they've already done. Like Mike don't have time to go watch Jalen Milroe play LSU. I mean, that was their bye week, so bad example. But you guys get the point. He actually did have time to do that. But the other times he don't, he's working. So he's coming in probably like the Senior Bowl, being like, all right, who's the good guards? What you got? Like, that's when he's coming in. That's January 30th or whatever, So it really is John's staff that does a lot of this legwork, makes these picks. It was the same thing with Pete. Obviously, Pete could veto stuff, but it was John's staff, So if you like the draft, blame John. If you love the draft, blame John for that too, or credit John. Whatever. I really think we've overemphasized how much influence the coach has, whether it's Mike or it's Pete. I really think it's collaborative with John's guys doing a lot of the legwork, and the coaches coming in and assisting with that and setting the vision, obviously. But the picks themselves, I think that's a lot of the scouting department. They should deserve a lot more credit and or blame than I feel like people are giving them.
This next one is from Matt S. Jail. How much does this draft impact the defense?
Yeah, not a lot of defensive guys. That said, speaking of ceilings, Chris, if the Eamon Worry thing pays out, if that plays out, particularly if he's a good corner, man, that is that could be fun. That could be fun because Reek's gonna figure it out. You guys know I'm a big Reek guy. I think Reek's gonna figure it out. But even if he don't, and you replace Reek with a 6'3", 220 outside corner that can run and catch. Come on, man, talk to me now. And then we're big Spoon fans on this show. That's a ceiling raiser right there. That's if he plays outside corner. If he's like a big nickel, I don't really know how high the ceiling is there. But as a corner, yeah, man, I think that's because it reminds me of Jalen Ramsey. Like if you can, like I know he got comped to like Kyle Hamilton and stuff like that. I see him more as Jalen. Like best case scenario, I think Jalen's a better player. But just best case scenario, he could be that. But then that's one player. You're kind of banking on that. So that's why I had some other defensive guys that I would have liked them to go after. A couple linemen, the Toledo kid, Will Johnson, if the medical checked out, Jod Campbell, if the medical checked out. So I don't think this draft will have a big impact. I think the world where it does is if Nick becomes what I think he could become as an outside corner.
I would dare say Jamal Adams 2.0. Downhill, just punishing dudes because that's his strength is being in the box. That is when I read on the Beast, it was like, yo, he thrives in the box. He saw it outside, but if you want a guy that's gonna run, defend, cover tight ends, which is something I know everyone pointed out, Jamal can't cover nobody. Well, this kid can. Okay, so if you allow him to hover in that area, you got yourself a nice little strong safety that can come down, lay players out, handle the run, take on linemen. I'm all with it. And can stay healthy. I'll take that too.
I think you just pissed a lot of Seahawks fans off with the Jamal comp.
I'm sorry.
No,
Jamal
it's okay.
Jamal was great until his knee fell off.
I think Jamal was a lot more bouncier and bendier. I don't know if those are words, but that really stands out to me.
Flexible.
Yeah, really.
He's able to,
Yeah. Like
I get it.
Jamal with the Jets clearly was doing Pilates. Like he was real bendy. That's how he could get under linemen and real twitchy. Jamal is very, very twitchy, or was. I don't know what he can do now, but that's probably why I feel better with Nick at like outside corner, I think, than like nickel. Because even with the twitchiness, like remember Jamal tried to cover Stephon Diggs in the slot that one time.
That was just bad game plan. There should never be a time. There is never a time where you think, hey, you know what? You got to cover Stephon on this play. Timeout. No, that's not happening. Put him in a cover zone or something and have him. You just can't have him lined up head to head. That should never happen. Continue.
But that's the type of stuff that your big nickel gonna have to do sometimes.
If you like him at corner, he can definitely get down.
The difference is the guys you're guarding.
Shifty, yeah, I know. It's more shifty in the slot.
I don't like him covering like I wouldn't have like Nick covering shifty dudes in there. That's why I'm a little bit more skeptical of that. I'll probably have him just do zone stuff from nickel. And if you got to go man, put him outside on whoever like if they play the Chargers, I'm not gonna have him guard Ladd McConkey. If we're going man up, I'm gonna put him on Mike Williams. Or play the Rams. Good example. I'm not gonna put him on Puka. Who's their other guy? Devontae. They have Devontae now. No, they have Devontae Adams now. Yeah.
That too.
Now that's Devontae Adams, of course. But it's a skill set thing. Like I'd rather have him out there because he can run with Devontae, he can jump with Devontae. He doesn't have the hips, but he's big, physical. So I like that. So I've just kind of talked myself into him playing DB. I forget even what the question was, but I really hope that pans out. It helps the defense.
Well, let's stick with DB. This is from Hawk Block 12. When camp is all said and done, who is left cornerback taking over for Trey Brown? Pritchett, Nehemiah Pritchett, that is. Josh Jobe, Gene Charles, player now on the roster.
I do think they may probably going to make a run at Shaquille Griffin, see if he wants to come back. He visited. I know he liked it here when he was here. That was probably like a visit to see, like, hey man, just let you know, like we're interested. Make sure you're physically okay. We're gonna probably draft some corners, but if we don't, we'll call you. They obviously didn't draft corners. Probably call them. So that would be one that I think could be interesting. But I honestly think that their three will probably stay the same if they're all healthy. Job, Reek, and Spoon be the three guys, and then Spoon being like their left corner in their base packages or big nickel or whatever. So that would be my guess. And if I had to pick someone else, now I've kind of talked myself into Eamon Wari doing it. That's just this pod has talked me into him playing corner. Maybe if I watch more film, I change my mind. But for now, that's what I've talked myself into.
This next one is from Ryan Turner, turns 44. Who's the first guy to make an all-pro team from this class?
Ooh, this is tough.
Yeah,
because my answer is probably no one.
All pro, man. You got to be one of them ones. Let's just be honest. That's tough, and I don't know if they have one of them ones.
Who's the last Seahawk to make all pro? That's not Bobby. It's been a while. Oh, it's probably Michael Dixon, but the punter.
No, man, don't do that. You're right, he's punter.
No, I'm doing that. Yeah, I'm not counting that. I rock with Mike. I just not counting that for this discussion. Yeah, it's hard to make all pro, man. It's hard. I don't really. I guess for the way we've talked about the class, it would probably be Jalen. That would be but that's hard to do. Like Russ never made all pro. He's made like 10 Pro Bowls. I don't even know if Drew Brees has been all. Has Drew Brees even been all pro? First team all pro?
Probably
he was.
He won. Yeah. He had to have been at least
once though. That was it. One time.
I hear you. It's not easy. I think it's Bobby Wagner, and he was 6-time all pro.
Yeah, no, Bobby's different. Yeah, Bobby's been all pro like 9 times. But yeah, first team I think like 5 or 6. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough to be all pro. But yeah, probably Jalen. Jalen has the highest ceiling for sure. Jalen probably has the highest ceiling in the whole class, like of the entire draft. I just think that him. Oh, sorry, no, Travis Hunter does. Excuse me. If he
no, but he's talking about the Seahawks though.
No, I know, but I just wanted to clarify that. But Travis Hunter of the entire class does. Probably easily. Second or third is Jalen. Like telling you guys, the best version of this. He's far away from the best version of it, but if he hits it, oh boy, no, it's ridiculous. So probably Jalen, but I don't know if they drafted an all pro. That's it's hard to be all pro, man. There's a reason nobody's done it in the Seahawk uniform in quite some time.
This next one is from Steph Beam 22. I'd love to hear both of your guys' favorite pick of the draft and maybe each of your players you wish the Seahawks picked.
All right, you can go first on this one.
So obviously, I think you guys know where I'm going. Fave pick, got to go with Jalen Milroe. I think I was someone that's always talked about they have to get someone for the future because they kept doing these cheap deals, just trying to, if you suck, we'll just get out of it and, find another free agent and play this little game. And they never really prepared themselves for an opportunity to look for the future. With Jalen Milroe, you have that opportunity for the future, whether he sits behind Sam Darnold for 1 year and learns all the ins and outs. Because again, they took him in the 3rd round. So it's not a necessity that he starts. To Mike's point, if they take him in, 1st or 2nd round, okay, I'm expecting you to probably play some football here. And at the quarterback position, you want your quarterback to get in there, see some live action, compete with some of these guys. Can he win that? And he's probably going to get that opportunity, but then they also talked about the packages. So I think this is a year where fill it out, do a little package. Is it going to work? And then next year, maybe hit the ground running. So Jalen, by far, is the favorite. One guy that Mike didn't talk me out of, even though I went back and I watched the Steve Smith session, And I was like, damn, Steve Smith.
About to say, I'm sure that didn't help.
It did not help. It didn't say, dang, Chris, and you still like this guy? But there's just something that you can't teach, and that is height. And I'm going to go with Ted McMillan, man. I know he went to the Panthers, but I really thought with the Seahawks, I thought there might have been something. And who knows? If he's available, Seahawks probably pass on him. I don't know. And maybe that's a question, maybe someone pops in there like, hey, if Ted McMillan was available at 18, would you guys have taken him? Probably not, because they still wanted to address the offensive line, and maybe they had Zabel higher than Ted. I won't know. So I just thought, man, there's just something about him. And maybe he goes to the Panthers and they just are trash and he doesn't do anything. Well, that looks bad on me. I'm the same guy that said the offensive line can't be much worse than it was last season. And boy, did I swing and miss. Mike texted me while he was in Tennessee, man, Chris's offensive line might be in trouble. And boy, Mike was right. So I could be wrong here, but I just really thought with the height, his ability to go up and get it, I thought that was something that was missing with the Seahawks. A receiver that can go up and get it. But then you got to be able to separate. There's all these things that maybe he struggles to do. Is he going to be able to do that consistently at the next level? I know I'm kind of talking myself out of it, but that was one player that I'm like, I wouldn't mind seeing this guy, 6'4", 200-plus pounds, playing wide receiver, number one receiver on your Seahawks offense, followed up with JSN, who's also fighting for that number one spot as well. And then if Cooper Kupp can play the entire season without a severe injury, there's some promise there.
Yeah, I think, to the Steve Smith thing he's referencing, Steve Smith breaks down receivers with James Palmer on an Underdog Fantasy Network. Steve, not a big fan of T-Mac at all. and neither was I. Neither was I. That's why I was surprised that Chris was still rocking with him after watching Steve Smith, because Steve Smith was harder on him than I was. I was on a stream with Steve Smith on draft night after he got picked, because I do some Underdog stuff, and Steve, he didn't like the pick then. Even then, he was like, and Steve played for the Panthers.
You know what? I'm going to reach out to Steve and get him on, because I have his number, and he said, hit me up if you want to do something. So I'm going to take his word on that. I'm going to tap back in, and we can try to get him on.
All right, I'll put you on that. My initial answer to this was going to be Damian Martinez. I have now since talked myself into my favorite pick being Nick, because now I feel like I've just hitched my wagon to figure. I just want that. I just want to see that Nick and Jalen Milroe. I just want to see them reach the potential that like they have, either with their body types or just some of their traits that they have. I feel like there's some high ceilings. Definitely the two highest ceiling players that they've drafted, I think. And then guy that they should have taken. Go Cougs, Kyle Williams. I think he went third round to the Patriots. I would have loved that. Wide receiver. I think he's going to be a really good player. Not just because he went to Wazoo. He's just a good receiver, to be honest. I would have liked to see that, honestly, over either of the receivers that they got. I would have really liked to see that, but it's okay. But anyway, that was the question. So there's my answer. Kyle Williams.
Got two more. This next one is from also known as Phil. How did the Seahawks stack up against the Rams and 49ers in draft grades? Did the Seahawks have a more promising offseason than our division rivals?
Yeah, I don't know about here, Chris. Pull up the Rams. Get the Rams. Give me the Rams picks real quick.
All right.
Let's see those.
So Terrence Ferguson, 2nd round. Josiah Stewart, 3rd round out of Michigan. Terrence, was out of Oregon. Jarquez Hunter, running back out of Auburn. Ty Hamilton, defensive lineman out of Ohio State. Round 5, Chris Paul Jr., inside linebacker out of Ole Miss. And they wrapped it up. Round 7, Konata Mumpfield, a wide receiver, Pittsburgh.
And then in like the free agency, I think their big moves were getting Devontae, obviously. I think they signed Puna Ford. Maybe some other like small time signings. The Niners basically had to clean out their stuff because they were spending a lot of cash. Give me the Niners draft. Really, I think they drafted a bunch of guys because they had to replenish. Because they let a lot of guys go in free agency. Greenlaw, Hufanga. So they had to draft a lot. You mean their draft?
So they had Mikael. Oh, I see what I did there. Mikael Williams, edge out of Georgia. Alfred Collins, DT out of Texas. Nick Martin, linebacker out of Oklahoma State. Upton Stout. That can't be a real name. Are you serious? Upton Stout. Wow. Cornerback, Western Kentucky. Mike, if I asked you, what position do you think he'd play? Upton Stout. What would you have said if I didn't tell you he plays cornerback?
Got to be a lineman or a fullback for sure.
He plays corner. Sorry to disappoint you. Continue.
Well, I'm saying by the name, yeah, that would have been.
Yeah, it's crazy. CJ West, defensive tackle, Indiana. Jordan Watkins, wide receiver, Ole Miss. JJ, Jordan James, running back out of Oregon. Marquez Sigel, safety out of Kansas State. Curtis Rourke, quarterback, Indiana. Connor Colby, guard, Iowa. And Junior Bergen, wide receiver, Montana.
Yeah, let's see. And their free agency stuff wasn't great. Like, I think their biggest move, I think they got Mac Jones. I think they signed him. A couple tight ends. They signed Trey Brown. Yeah, I wasn't. I'm not big on that. Now, granted, I think the Niners and the Rams they didn't have as far to go. I think they came into the offseason as better football teams. So that's part of that evaluation. I think the Seahawks had a decent offseason by comparison. I wouldn't say it's better. I think they all probably had about equal off seasons. I would say. I think Devontae is a big get for the Rams.
Man.
Come on now.
It's all pro receiver right there.
Yeah, come on now. The Niners probably best move this offseason was getting Robert Saleh to coordinate their defense. Like, if we want to talk about adding the coaches into the equation too with the offseason, like if you're big on Kubiak, I'm twice as big on getting Robert Saleh to call your defense again if you're 49ers. Like, I think that's massive for them. So yeah, I think that everyone probably had about the same level of offseason, all three teams in question here. But because the Niners and Rams, I think, didn't have as far to go to get closer to their goals, which is I know some of you guys listening that like, Mike, what do you mean? The 49ers stunk. I know, but they were super banged up. Like, I think that healthy 49ers probably sweep the Seahawks again, but they just, by the end of the year, they're like, Juwan Jennings was like wide receiver 1. And that's not what the intention was. It's Brandon Ayuk, it's Debo, like, come on. So yeah, I think division is going to be fun. I think the Cardinals had a good offseason too. So yeah,
maybe they'll break through one of these years.
They should. It should if Kyler Murray is Kyler Murray, like he's supposed to be. So anyway, we'll get to previewing the division later down the road. But yeah, I think they all had decent off seasons. None better than the other. The Rams are probably still the best team in the division, though.
Without question. If you got money, if you want to go gamble, go ahead and take the Rams to win the division. Just saying. This next one, last one, comes from Ross. Seahawks Twitter seems far more pleased with this year than in years past. Do you think that goodwill changes the expectations for the season? Would missing the playoffs be acceptable?
No. Absolutely, it would not. Yeah, and I think that why the draft is high, I think it's just because it's a lot of guys everyone knows, and feels good about. And granted, and not everyone is super happy. I got people texting me or tweeting me like, "Yo, Mike, we should have took Shador. We should have took this DB. We didn't take Kobe Bryant from Kansas. We didn't take this tight end. We didn't take whatever." So there was definitely, you guys all know who you wanted in this draft. Like, again, the mock drafts were very eye-opening to see. Like, you guys were mocking trades, using 2026 draft picks, like stuff that made sense too. Like, there was so much information that you guys are using to see who's good and who's not. I don't know how much film everybody's watching, but I think everyone's just consuming the stuff, watching the YouTube videos, watching the clips, reading the analysts, listening to the podcast. So not just ours, like everyone's. So I think that's probably why. Like, so many people loved Eamon Worry, like so many people would just ask me or text me like, "Yo, Mike, how come you ain't mocked this guy does? You don't like him? Why are you including Will Johnson but not him?" I'm like, what I've watched, a little bit of West, I just didn't like it that much. I just didn't like it. Again, didn't know where to use him. That was a hang up for me. So I think that's what it is. I really think it's just there's way more. Like, before, I feel like it was far more regional. It'd be like, oh, if you went to Illinois, you watched a lot of Big Ten. So when they took Russell Wilson, you were like, "Oh, I'm a Seahawks fan, but I went to college in the Big Ten. I know Russell Wilson because I watched Big Ten football." Boom. I feel like it was far more regional in that way. Pac-12 guys, everyone knew them. Now it feels like everyone knows everybody. You guys know FCS linemen, Syracuse corners. You guys know Alabama knows. Like, it's just know everybody. So I feel like that's contributing to that. It's not a slam dunk in like the Seahawks world, but yeah, I think that's contributing to like the positive feedback, and it has a quarterback in it. It's like you guys have all wanted a quarterback. To Chris's point about them needing to build for the future, you guys have all been waiting for that. So a quarterback, I think that's part of it. Granted, some people don't like this guy. Some people think he can't throw. I wouldn't totally disagree, but again, the upside's super high. And yeah, I think if they make the playoffs, people are getting fired. Or miss the playoffs, people are getting fired.
Man, you preaching, Mike. You preaching. But look,
I try to.
That has been the 2025 Seahawks draft recap. We'll have more of that coming this week. So stay tuned for that. We'll have a special guest to help us break down some of these draft prospects that we didn't get into every single one, obviously, but we'll have the guys that can break it down for us and give you guys more insight, more in-depth analysis on these dudes. But we want to thank you for listening, watching, all the support. We reached 100 followers on TikTok, so we appreciate you guys following on there. If you haven't, just search Seahawks Man to Man. We got clips up of Nick Baumgartner talking about, oh my gosh, the 18th overall pick. There he is. Yes.
Nick helped sell me on Zabel a little bit more, so that did help.
So that's huge. So go check that out. Also follow us on Instagram as well, Seahawks Man to Man. I shouldn't be missing anything else. Follow us on Twitter, Blue Sky. Our handles are right below our faces, as Mike says. Mike, is there anything you want to add before we get out of here?
Thank you for the love and support. Hit all the buttons on all the platforms that show us love. Thank you. Again, our voicemail line is live. It should be in the description for the show if you need it. And if our people are watching online, it's just at the ticker as well. Give us a call. Leave us a voicemail. We love hearing from you guys, and we'll play them on the show. We'll catch you guys later in the week with more post-draft coverage. We'll catch you guys.
One more thing. Don't be shy, okay? We see.
Oh, the voicemail?
I can, okay? I know y'all still want to ask questions. Go ahead and muster up that courage, like Max, all right? And just send us a voicemail. It's okay. We got you. We still got 20-plus questions. I know that's been the staple of our show for years, but we're now advancing it. So when you're thinking about just texting a question, nah. Go ahead and hit that number. Give us a call. Leave a voicemail. We'll answer on the show. We appreciate all the love and support. We'll catch y'all later.